The first time I kissed a girl in public, I was sure the world would stop. My heart was pounding so loud it felt like everyone could hear it. Like the sound of my fear had filled the air around us. I could feel people watching, even before I knew they were. My palms were sweating, my throat was tight, and every instinct in me screamed, "Don't do it." But I did it anyway, and the moment our lips touched, I realized something I'll never forget. That sometimes, the scariest moments of your life are also the most honest ones. That kiss wasn't just about love. It was about visibility, about freedom, about every version of me that had ever been too afraid to exist. Before that day, I'd spent most of my life being careful. Careful with my words, careful with my body language, careful with how long I looked at girls I thought were beautiful. Growing up, I learned how to blend in, how to be the kind of person people didn't question. I dated boys, smiled politely when relatives asked about crushes, and laughed along when friends talked about their boyfriends. But beneath the laughter I was tired. Tired of performing. Tired of pretending I didn't notice the way my pulse jumped when a girl brushed my shoulder. Tired of telling myself it was just a phase. That's what shame does to you. It trains you to be invisible. By the time I came out to a few close friends, I thought that was enough. I told myself, you don't have to make a big deal out of it. You know who you are. That's what matters. But deep down, I knew that wasn't the truth, because knowing who you are and living it out loud are two different things. I'd told the world who I was in whispers, but I hadn't shown it. I hadn't lived it. And part of me was still waiting for permission to exist. That permission, as it turned out, came in the form of a kiss. It happened on a humid summer evening, the kind of night that hums, full of life, full of noise, full of people. My girlfriend at the time, the first person I'd ever truly loved, had invited me to a downtown street fair. Music, lights, crowds, a chaos I usually avoided. But something in her smile made it feel safe. We'd been dating for a few months, but no one really knew. Not publicly anyway. We'd always kept it quiet. Private. Our little secret, I used to say. But that secrecy started to feel like a cage. We walked through the fair, side by side but never touching. I could feel her hand brushing against mine every few steps. Both of us hesitating. Both of us waiting for the other to be brave first. Then she stopped, looked at me, and said, quietly but firmly, "I'm tired of pretending we're just friends." It was like all the air around us shifted. I remember saying, "I know, but people are watching." And she smiled and said, "Let them." Her confidence both terrified and fascinated me. She didn't seem afraid of what others might think, only of what it would mean if we kept hiding. The truth is, I wasn't scared of being gay. I was scared of being seen as gay, because once people see you, they can't unsee you. Once you step into the light, there's no going back. We kept walking, and I could feel my chest tightening. Every footstep felt heavier, every laugh around us sharper. My brain filled in stories that didn't exist. They're staring. They're judging. They know. But then she reached for my hand. And this time, I didn't move away. Her fingers laced with mine and the world didn't stop. No one screamed. No one pointed. The sky didn't fall. And yet my heart felt like it was breaking open. Equal parts fear and relief. Then, in the middle of the crowd, she turned to me and said, "Can I kiss you?" 3 words. So simple. So enormous. And all I could think was, what if this changes everything? But then again, wasn't that the point? So I nodded, and she kissed me. The world went quiet. It wasn't the perfect movie kiss. It wasn't slow motion or cinematic. It was clumsy, nervous, real. I could taste lemonade on her lips. The air was thick with the smell of street food and rain. My hands were shaking. And then I heard it, a voice in the crowd. Someone said, "Ah." Then another person clapped. For a second, my stomach dropped. I was ready for mockery, for laughter, for cruelty. I'd imagined it all my life, but it didn't come. Instead, someone shouted, "You two are adorable." A few people cheered. One woman yelled, "Love wins!" And I just froze, because that wasn't how the story was supposed to go. I'd spent so long preparing for rejection that I didn't know how to handle acceptance. I looked at her, completely stunned. She was smiling, really smiling, her eyes bright, her hand still holding mine like it was the most natural thing in the world. And in that moment, I realized something profound. The world doesn't always hate you the way you think it does. Sure, there will always be ignorance, always be danger, always be fear. But there will also be people who cheer for you simply because they see love and recognize it as something beautiful. That was the plot twist I never saw coming, because I'd spent so many years imagining this moment ending in shame. Instead, it ended in applause. Afterward, we kept walking, laughing through our nerves, the tension in my chest slowly unraveling. Every time our hands brushed, it didn't feel dangerous anymore. It felt right. That night when I got home, I couldn't stop smiling. My reflection in the mirror looked lighter, like I'd dropped something heavy I'd been carrying for years. I didn't just come out that night. I stepped into something, into life, into myself. Before that kiss, I thought being out meant telling people. I thought it was a series of conversations, a checklist of disclosures. I'm gay. I'm dating a girl. I'm okay with it. But being out isn't about what you say. It's about how you live. That day taught me that truth isn't something you announce once. It's something you choose every day. Every morning you wake up and decide to be honest with the world. And with yourself. Before that day, I was always waiting. Waiting for safety. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for everyone else to be ready for my reality. After that day, I realized the only person who needed to be ready was me. I started reading other lesbian stories online. Women who'd gone through the same thing. Their first kisses, their fears, their small victories. And I saw my own reflection in their words. That's when I realized how powerful it is to see yourself, really see yourself, in someone else's story. Because when we share these moments, we give others permission to believe that their stories can have joy too. That kiss didn't make me fearless. I still had moments of hesitation. I still caught myself checking my surroundings before holding her hand. But little by little, the fear got quieter, and in its place grew something else. Peace. That kiss became a turning point in my coming out journey. The moment I stopped surviving and started living. Looking back now, I realized the kiss wasn't the point. The point was what it represented. It was the moment I stopped asking for permission to exist. You don't need the world to agree with you to be yourself. You don't need approval to be real. And you don't need to hide to be safe. Though I understand why it feels that way. Being queer isn't about performing pride for others. It's about coming home to yourself. Even when no one's watching. That's what that moment taught me. The world doesn't always need to change before you do. Sometimes, it's enough to start with a single act of courage. So if you're watching this and you're still in the in-between, still hiding, still whispering, still waiting, I want you to know something. Your story matters. Your love matters. And your first time, whatever that looks like, whether it's a kiss, a conversation, or even just the moment you stop apologizing, will change you forever. You don't have to be ready all at once. You don't have to be loud to be brave. You just have to start. The truth is, the world might not always clap for you. Sometimes it'll be silent. Sometimes it'll sting, but you'll still have yourself. And that's enough. Because one day, you'll look back on your own first time, your own terrifying, beautiful moment. And you'll realize that's when your life truly began. And maybe you'll tell your story too. And maybe someone like me, someone sitting in the dark, scared and waiting, will hear it and finally believe that their light is worth turning on. If this story spoke to you, I'd love to hear yours. Tell me in the comments, what's your first time story? What moment changed you? What does courage look like in your life? Because every story we share builds something bigger than any of us. It builds community. It builds hope. And if you want to hear more lesbian stories, more pieces of this wide, beautiful, messy coming out journey, subscribe. Stay. This space is for you, for us, for anyone learning how to live out loud. You don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to wait. You are already enough. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll kiss the person you love, right in the middle of everything. And the world will keep spinning, but you'll finally feel like you've started living.